We are back, people. What is up? Going over the Dolphins, Patriots game preview. Obviously, games tomorrow. Got a lot of I got some film from their Patriots offense, defense over the past 2 weeks versus the Niners and the Jets, where I feel like they've definitely been struggling a lot. We kind of got the battle of the two worst offenses in the league statistically right now. Very winnable game across the board. Also, with how the Dolphins are playing, a very losable game. They're definitely the more talented team. Should be very interesting. There's, lots of injuries and lots of news in that front. New England's missing a lot of people, and got lots of notes to break down that I noticed from watching their film. Doing research, I have some notes, some statistics pulled up. But we'll definitely get into all of that. See, hopefully, wait for some people to get in here. But yeah. Refresh. Home. Okay, cool. Let me know. You guys see that? Okay, cool. Start with the Patriots offense. They have the 31st ranked offense, scoring offense. The Dolphins are the only team worse scoring wise. They're actually the worst yardage wise, like total offense. Their yards per game is the lowest, specifically because of their passing offense being very low. Like they're only averaging 112 yards passing per game. That's like legitimately insanely bad. That's crazy. The rushing offense is more middle of the pack. Like middle of the pack. But I think a lot of that production came in their first 2 weeks. The last 2 weeks have not been as good for them rushing. They actually made a change. Their Ramondre Stevenson is getting benched because he's fumbled once in every single game. And they're starting Antonio Gibson, who's more of a receiver, but he's had some nice runs this season, mainly needs some space to work with. He's not the most efficient player, but he has been performing better than Stevenson this season, which is kind of crazy, which is cool. And then you see, got some film. Yeah, so the two worst offenses in the league, and somehow the Dolphins are the worst. Patriots can't throw the ball. They have the worst. Their O-line is very, very bad. Like, I actually think their O-line is playing worse than the Dolphins' O-line, if you can believe that or not. They're getting Brissett absolutely destroyed, battered. It's definitely tough out there for him. They will definitely be trying to run the ball. If the Dolphins can actually get a lead for once in this game, they'll have a very good advantage. Like, I got some film to show. They will definitely. The one game where they couldn't get the run game going at all because they tried to, do other things was the Jets game. And that was not good for them because they had like no success running the ball. Late behind. But I think I might be lagging a little bit. People in here? Cool, okay. So winning the battle up front is huge. Dolphins defensive line actually has been pretty good. Calais Campbell and Sealer are like statistically rated, like their pass win rate or their rush win rate are all pretty high. If we lose this game, allowed to switch teams. Yeah, this is like the Patriots are they're playing, especially like it feels like they've regressed. They actually started pretty strong versus the Bengals. Week 2, they actually kept it pretty close for Seattle. Then they looked really bad versus the Jets. They looked like that was one of the worst performances I've seen this year from any team, is their performance versus the Jets. And then versus the Niners, I think, it was pretty expected for them to look bad against them. But yeah, they've looked really rough these past 2 weeks. Yeah, their O-line's bad. Like, they have a lot of injuries at O-line, but like listen to their who they have right now. Because let me pull up. I got so like they just put David Andrews and Caden Wallace on injured reserve. So those are two O-linemen not playing. They have Layden Robinson, who is limited and questionable. Vidarian Lowe is also questionable. Nick Leverett is also questionable on their O-line. But yeah, their starters are like literally Vidarian Lowe, Saidi Sow. I literally only recognize the right tackle, Mike Unwanwu. I literally have not, although I knew Layden Robinson because he's a rookie, but the other three I literally haven't either never heard of them or like very vaguely years ago. Like they have a worse offensive line than the Dolphins. It's actually crazy. They're getting Brissett destroyed. The injury thing, we can talk about. So Dolphins don't have Jordan Poyer. Patriots do not have Jabril Peppers. I actually think the Dolphins not having Jordan Poyer is a good thing. I was going to make a video about it, about Marcus May should be starting. I think Poyer has been one of the weak links. Cam Smith is out. He was able to return to practice week full. I think he probably could have played, but I'm imagining they didn't know what to do roster spot-wise, and they wanted to bring OBJ back, and OBJ is coming back. Patriots are getting back Kendrick Bourne, who is their best receiver, and he's like his first game back after he tore his ACL, I believe, last season. So that will be interesting to see because I think he's their best receiver. I think OBJ should help. Hopefully another week of Tyler Huntley under like in the system helps him out. Yeah, David Andrews is on IR. They are ravaged with injuries. Jabril Peppers, who's one of their better players, also struggling with injuries. So definitely lots of struggles for them. So yeah, Gibson will be starting over Stevenson. He's a better receiver than he is a runner. The Patriots actually statistically face the most single high looks in the league. So teams really do not respect their passing game at all. And for them to face the most single high looks in the league and still have the least amount of passing yards per game is actually pretty impressively bad. Like Brissett's playing horrible. I know there's like reports over at New England camp being like there's a mutiny in the locker room or something if they don't make a change soon. So wouldn't be surprised if this ends up being the game where May comes in at some point, you know. But or it could be after the fact also. But so they've faced the most single high. Ramsey has a knee injury, but he's playing apparently. Yeah, I think he was limited, but I'm pretty sure he's going out there. The rest of the report, it's only Poyer and Cam Smith are out, and then Skylar's questionable. Everyone else that was injured on the injury list is playing. So like Armstead's back, Kendall Fuller's back, huge additions. We get to see Odell for the first time this season. David Long is back. Raheem Mostert's back. Dolphins have a lot of things going for them to win this game, especially against New England. Like they're still missing Tua. Is there a way to see who faces the most too high? I could probably find it. I just don't have it right in front of me. I can find it another time. I know it's been the Dolphins in the past. I don't know if it definitely was the Dolphins in the past seasons. But it's not. I don't know what it is this season. I don't know if teams are playing as much too high against us with Tua out. Let's see. Their weapons aren't anything special. They're not terrible. Like I like some of their receivers, but like they have Jalen Polk as a rookie, who I think is pretty good out of Washington, but hasn't really had too much going for him yet. KJ Osborne, veteran, not terrible, but nothing to be afraid of. They have some backups like Tyquan Thornton, Keishan Boutte, Javon Baker, nothing to really talk about there. I think Demario Douglas has probably been their best receiver when getting targeted. He's like a quick, shifty slot guy. He can make some plays for them, but he's also not a world beater. And then they get Kendrick Bourne back, who will be their best player, but he is coming off the ACL. Then they have good tight ends. Tight ends will be where they target the most. Jacoby Brissett is their loves to throw to tight ends. Hunter Henry has by far been his favorite weapon. Austin Hooper gets sometimes too. They'll run a lot of 2 tight end sets. I have some film of that. But they run a very basic like offensive concepts in the passing game. Like there is nothing special about it. I think they motion the least amount in the league, like single digit percentage wise, if I remember correctly, of how much they motion. And like they are running like curl flats, like basic offensive concepts. They don't push the ball down the field really well. They don't really have time to push it down the field. 2-14 or 3-14, 2-15. Are you talking about the Dolphins? I would be surprised if they went that bad. Especially if Tua comes back in like a couple weeks. I know it's been bad, but I would be surprised if it sticks as bad as it's been the whole season. I don't think it's going to be good, but I don't know if it'll be 2-15 bad. They already got 1 win. Yeah, so Dolphins and Pats offense, obviously both are playing really bad. 2 worst in the league, but Dolphins have way more talent, so hopefully they can hit some big plays. Just need a couple big plays and you'll probably win the game. They'll target the tight ends. They run so many hitches and curls, which just makes it so much easier on a defense. Lots of 2 tight end sets. I actually think the Dolphins defense has been slightly better than the Pats defense. Patriots defense has shown some regression and they're having some injuries. Like they have some good players for sure, but they have their injuries across the board. They're missing guys like Christian Barmore already to begin with, not playing the season. Christian Gonzalez is their best player. They don't have Jabril Peppers. I hope we are 1-16 and trade Tua in the offseason. They won't trade Tua. He'll have to be cut before March to save money, if that was where they went. And it's way too early to even speculate on that because it's so far in the future. I feel like everyone's already given up on the season. which is fine. Like, I mean, I could tell just by the views on the channel, people have just given up on the season. I'm getting, so many less views, which is fine. But it's still only week 5, and the team's not going to give up. The coaching staff, the GMs, they're fighting for jobs and their paychecks. So, yeah, hit some big plays like they did. If they had hit those big plays like they should have versus Tennessee, they'll hit gap scheme stuff. They like to throw their running backs. Antonio Gibson, imagine him getting a lot of work out of the backfield. I do have some clips here. Might as well show them. Here we go. Here's the Patriots offense. But like, look how basic their passing game is. Like, this is just coming out initially straight drop back game. Tight end sit over the middle of the field, running back down in the flat in a swing route, and then just 2 curls, and then late release. Like, so basic, boring. Like, you can't win a game doing that type of stuff. They barely motion. Like, that's a rare motion for them. Then a rollout, quickly get stuff out in the flat. They're going to try to make it as easy as possible, because on a third down like this, they are scared of pressure, so they're going to do whatever it takes. Slide your quarterback, move, get him on the move, play action, to not have those basic, concepts. They'll run the ball better than they pass the ball, but with all the O-line injuries, their running games looked worse. You can definitely get some power up front, and with how little effective their passing game is, you can stack the box with extra bodies. So I think the Dolphins will find a lot of success against the Patriots offense. Get up front. If Stevenson is in the game, go after the ball. He's fumbled once in every single game. He's technically lost his starting job in this game, but he's still playing. Go after the ball. Try to force some fumbles. Then just getting after Brissett, forcing him to make some mistakes here. He has not seen the field well. Even when he didn't even see like a super quick pressure here. Like, he gets pressured late, but he's just not seeing the field well. Throws an interception. Fred Warner with the pick. Gonna take it very far. He's been getting bamboozled, whether under pressure or not. Them getting after him. They even go with play action, and they still let the 49ers defensive front get after him. And then, like, you can run. I hope the Dolphins run a lot of man. Like, I feel like you just run man against these guys. It's not like they're the best separators on the back end with this Patriots defense. They'll go single high. They'll bring pressure up front. A bunch of different versatile looks. Brissett is kind of tough to bring down. He's tough, but he is struggling to feel it right now. He'll make some mistakes. Lots of potential with this game. And they'll try to do stuff like this. Like, if they're not running the ball, it is just basic play action boot or roll out instantly, slide the pocket. Don't want to have too many looks where it's just straight up pass sets. They'll try to run the ball, but it's not been effective for them in a couple weeks now, and bringing blitzes on these guys. They're not picking things up. So many different ways to attack these guys, and like, this Jets game was brutal for this New England front. This is probably the most creative play they had, which is where they motioned a receiver into the backfield and ran a toss to him, and it picked up 9-10 yards on the play. But over and over again, they just kept really, really getting after Brissett. Oh no, I get it, Brian. I'm just not quite. It's still only week 5, and I mean, and it looks really bad. Trust me, I understand why people would think it's going to be that bad. But like, I think one thing is, I try not to overreact too much. At least, I mean, maybe the day of, I'm overreacting with the games, but it is still very early, and we've seen before teams turn things around very quickly. Dolphins have obviously had a lot of injuries, so there's things that are holding them back. But this Patriots game is very winnable. I think they should beat the Patriots twice, even with how bad they're still playing. Yeah, we should. Hey, Ryder, do you think McDaniel will get his play calling together? It's tough to say. It's been a long stretch now to where I'm worried it never will get back to what it was. I obviously think he's done a great job with play design in the league and mixing things up. Like, a lot of people copied him, and we obviously seen that he's capable of calling good plays. Like, he ran his first 2 seasons, ran top offenses in the league, and even when it wasn't perfect, they were still putting up a bunch of yards and points up. So I think it's fair to be like, no, it's never going to turn around. But I wouldn't be. I do think it will get better. I don't know if it will ever get back to what it used to be, though. Yeah, I'm putting my bank account on Dolphins. I don't know about that. I don't know if I can trust the Dolphins right now, but yeah. Yeah, New England's offense is rated really poor just across the board. Their defense is ranked like 15th in points per game. They're ranked 23rd in yards per game. So they're giving up a decent amount of yards. They're not ranked super highly. They're ranked better versus the run. Even though we'll talk about the run defense, it's not anything super special, but they can stop the run. And then their pass, they'll run a lot of man-to-man. And their ranks, all of their passing statistics ranks are in the 20s. Like it's 27 pass play percentage, pass play completion percentage 25, yards per pass 28. So they're like not ranked super high. And like Christian Gonzalez is their clear best DB, and he will probably try to shadow Tyreek. I think having Waddle and OBJ back having Waddle and then having OBJ back, they can have some big games against the secondary. The secondary missed like 13 tackles, not the secondary only, but the Patriots. They missed 13 tackles versus the Jets, which is insane. Yeah, let's see what else I got here. Porter's not playing. We get Fuller back. Ramsey and Fuller should be helpful versus them. I think overall the Dolphins actually match up fairly well. Am I like? How can the Dolphins increase time of possession when you need to keep the defense off the field? I think it really comes down. I mean, obviously being able to finish. I think Dolphins get a lot of 3rd down and 4th down in shorts. I think being able to convert those obviously will help you keep down on the field. I think just finding more of a consistent running game. I think if the Dolphins can keep the game relatively close, or even if they can build an early lead, that just helps you be able to continue using the running game. So being able to be consistent with that and take advantage of the things, because the Dolphins have tendencies that I think defenses are reading. I think McDaniel even talked about it in an interview this week. Like, he needs to take advantage of when teams overplay stuff. And I think defenses against the Dolphins overplay a lot, especially on crack tosses or those like hit in breakers over the middle. Teams really sell out on a lot of those plays. So being able to take advantages of those other situations, just finding some consistencies, and then not like these dumb penalties, like with the backups in, like less shifting, less motions with your backup quarterback. It definitely keeps it tough. I think those kill a lot of drives. What's the logic behind trotting 400-pound Benito Jones out there every game for him to get ragdoll on majority of his snaps? I mean, it's just a rotation. I mean, I don't even think, is Benito Jones even playing that many snaps? I don't think so. But yeah, I mean, it's just, he's in the rotation. You gotta have, they're trying to keep people fresh. Yep, got to adjust. That's kind of the big thing, but it's been a long time now. Obviously, I'm giving them till the rest of the season. I'm not trying to like just give up on this thing. Like, it's just not in my nature. Huntley is actually the most athletic quarterback they've faced yet. The Niners the Patriots haven't really faced any athletic quarterbacks. They've faced they faced a lot of guys who are more pocket passers. They can make some plays with their legs, but it's like been Burrow, Geno Smith, Aaron Rodgers at this point in his career, and then Brock Purdy. And they all made some plays off script and like escaping the pocket. And Huntley is going to be the most athletic of that group. So hopefully he can make some plays with his legs. Purdy made plays off script. I'm going to show he had multiple deep shots. That Patriots were like daring the Niners to throw deep. And I think they might do the same thing against the Dolphins. I think it's a good game to look at because the Dolphins obviously not doing as well as the Niners offense right now, but they run a very similar scheme. And the Patriots were still daring them to throw deep. So there will be some deep shots to be had. Can Huntley hit them? Who knows? Where was I at? But yeah, I got to be able to hit those deep shots. The opportunities will be there. Keon White is very good on their defensive front. They have a pretty good defensive line. They have some injuries there, but they have some decent players that I think are playing decent football. Linebackers they have Raekwon McMillan starting. Obviously, Dolphins fans familiar with him. Jelani Tavai. Christian Ellis is like their dime linebacker. I think they bring him in like obvious passing situations. He's made some plays. But yeah, Dolphins got decently healthy, which I think helps. Niners ran a lot of toss and outside zone, and I think found some success on some of those runs versus the Patriots. Dolphins obviously love to do that. They do that more than anything. Patriots 25th in EPA offensively. Their EPA is not very good. I think even if I look at NFL Pro, Jacoby Brissett's EPA is negative 34.7. Obviously, stats don't tell the full story, but it's clearly pretty obvious with what they're doing. Yeah. Over the last 2 weeks, the Jets and the 49ers ramped up the pressure. After facing a blitz rate of 18% in the first 2 weeks, the Patriots got blitzed on 36.5% of their dropbacks since week 3. So hopefully the Dolphins see these numbers, see the film that teams are blitzing the Patriots a lot, and they are struggling. They're also facing the highest rate of cover one man coverages. And they're facing more defenders in the box than most teams. Not the highest, but it's very high up there. Just a lot of interesting stats and nuggets to look at, especially when they really started struggling and they started facing a lot of blitzes. Let's see. Okay. Do you think Bowser can make more of an impact than the guys we already have? Chop Kamara. I think he'll be a fine rotation piece. I think he can play with maybe a little more consistency than the rookies, but I think the rookies have more upside to make like high impact plays. But we'll see how it goes. I think last week was Chop's worst game by far. He looked really bad versus Tennessee. I'm excited to see Kamara though. We haven't seen him yet, so I think there's kind of a question mark. More Jalen Wright, less Achane. I mean, I made that video today. I think we need to get more. I think getting Jalen Wright more involved just helps out everyone, especially and the Mostert coming back will help out Achane too. I think it will allow Achane to get more high value touches because last week he just looked like banged up and not be able to deal with all the hits he was taking. Personally, I think it's less than teams have figured out McDaniels. It's or lack of it usually comes down to one guy every play that just misses. I agree to an extent, Scotty. It's definitely, I think McDaniels taking too much of the blame. Like there's definitely a lack of execution, but there are teams around the league who are still making things easier on their offense with backup quarterbacks and being successful. And even before Tua got injured, I feel like the offense was still getting more and more figured out with still the lack of execution. So I think it's definitely a mix of things. I think teams have definitely adjusted. Like if you watch the film, teams definitely play the Dolphins differently than how they play other teams. Like they have a clear way of playing that I think teams. So I do think McDaniel needs to mix it up at least a little bit. But yeah, we definitely need to execute more because big plays are being missed. What's your confidence in Huntley's deep ball? He missed a lot of deep shots. Not super high. I don't think that's really his game. So got to get lucky with him hitting some deep shots. I don't think any of the Dolphins quarterbacks on the roster are really deep ball throwers outside of Tua anyways. We win this 6-3. A win's a win. I'll take it. I mean, it might. I don't know if it'll be 6-3, but I do expect it to be a low scoring game. Yeah. I think Achane's like a guy that can be an every down back every once in a while, but once it starts being like multiple games in a row, I think that's going to hurt him in the long run, you know? I think he can like take the load maybe for a game every once in a while, every, few games he has to do it once, sure. But like getting him split carries and like, I'm thinking of like this, you have Mostert and Wright getting a lot of early carries and like you're using Achane on the field, but he's used as more of like on the passing game, maybe some trick plays, like the reverses, stuff like that. But then you start getting him in the backfield late in the game when defenses are a little more tired. Achane doesn't have the, the wear on his tires yet. And you start running the outside zone, the tosses with him. Teams are less likely to, get outside because they're a little bit, gassed. They're not reading the things as quickly, but yeah. Let's see. Any more stats here? Yeah, missing Jalen Phillips will be tough. Definitely got to keep an eye on the edge group. I'm excited to see how that looks. I'm hoping, I think one of the, I've seen Chop get a lot of slack on the timeline, which is fair. He hasn't played well, but I don't like how he's been used. I think Weaver's kind of thrown him in this position where like, hey, we're going to try to use you in the ways you're maybe not as strong in right now to get you to learn. But God, there's like a little fly going around. But I think they need to be using him more on third down in obvious passing situations and moving him around, not just aligning him at, right defensive end. So hopefully his usage improves because I think that could help him a lot. I miss Wilkins. I don't think the Wilkins. I mean, I think obviously you miss Wilkins, but I don't think the Wilkins loss is as big as people are talking about because Calais Campbell and Zach Sealer have been playing very well. They've probably been two of your best defensive players. I actually think Van Ginkel is the bigger loss for this team. Yeah, heartbroken over the Phillips injury. Yeah, Scotty's saying what I was just saying. Yeah, but Patriots are gashed with injuries. Yeah, it really just comes down to who makes fewer mistakes offensively. I think if it comes down to who makes fewer mistakes offensively, and the Dolphins have much higher big play potential than the Patriots. If the Dolphins can just hit on like one or two of those big plays, it would raise their winning percentage so much because they just weren't able to hit on those. But yeah, Elliott was a loss too. Yeah, I just think Poyer is bad. I mean, I think if Marcus May plays, I don't think it will be seen as much as a loss. I mean, I wouldn't mind have kept keeping Elliott, especially because he's cheap. I see people saying they should have kept Brandon Jones because of PFF stuff. I'm like, guys, we're 4 weeks into the season and like, loved Brandon Jones when he was here, but like you weren't paying him $7 million a year when he hadn't really done anything in 2 years, especially after the injury. Like, just unrealistic. Yes, but Wilkins was in the end zone celebrating touchdowns. Without Wilkins, we don't score. Yeah, the Van Ginkel one's the really bad one in my opinion because he was like, I don't think letting Wilkins and Hunt go were like the wrong moves. I just think maybe not replacing Hunt better was the wrong move. I would have signed someone to replace Hunt or drafted someone to replace Hunt. But like those guys were getting vastly a lot of money and overpaid for what the Dolphins could do. But Van Ginkel didn't get paid that much, and he barely only got more than Barrett got. Like you could have definitely gotten Van Ginkel here. But yeah, who would have you drafted instead of Chop? I mean, I think I had Graham Barton, Brian Thomas Jr. at that range over him because a lot of the guys I wanted were gone. I wanted either Troy Fatanu or Jared Verse. Those were guys who I thought could have been there, but they both went right before. I also liked Amarius Mims. So a lot of the guys who went right before the Dolphins, I would have taken over Chop. And I think who was there, I would either drafted Graham Barton, Brian Thomas Jr., or traded back. But I understand why they took Chop. Like they need edge defenders, but it just wasn't the ideal pick, in my opinion. But yeah, that's just how it played out. I mean, I'm pretty sure on stream I was saying I wanted Graham Barton or Brian Thomas Jr. I forget who else was there. I think there might have been one other player I wanted. I really want to just tank the whole season because when Tua comes back, he's going to be a shell of himself. He's not going to run the ball if he has to, and I want to lose every single game. Well, I understand wanting like the idea of tanking. The Dolphins are not going to take. I don't agree Tua is going to be a shell of himself. I actually think he'll probably play the same except slide more. It's not like he runs very much anyways. But I don't think they're gonna lose every game if Tua comes back. The Rams stole our draft. Who did they take? I didn't really like their second round pick. I thought that was a little bit too early for Fisk. Yeah, I think Scotty, what you're saying, I don't think people understand. Like, if you signed Wilkins and you signed Hunt, then the team would look a lot different in other spots, you know? So, like, you would just have weaknesses elsewhere with how much you would have to pay them. Hunt is playing good in Carolina. Yeah, well, I like Hunt. He's a good player. I just, like, you just can't. I just don't think they could afford paying him $20 million a year, which is a lot to ask. And it wasn't like Hunt was playing, like, elite for the Dolphins. He was playing good, but... I hope we draft Jalen. I'm just personally not a huge fan of this QB class. Right now, at least. It's still early in the process, and I'm waiting for the whole season to come out. But I think people that are asking for new quarterbacks this year might be a little disappointed if they actually have to play. And might regret wanting them to take the quarterbacks over too. It depends on who it is, but for the most part, I'm not a huge fan. But I still have to watch some of the class, to be fair. Has Cam Kinchins played good, though? I thought I was seeing him get burnt the other day, but I haven't watched him other than like a couple plays. Yeah, I've seen this take too, and like this is fair to think, but also at the same time, like they could have offered them contracts and we don't know, and the players just turned them down. So that's also a possibility. That's why I haven't really brought that up. I think for AVG, they should have tried. For Hunt, though, Hunt could have easily just turned down stuff and been like, I'm going to make way more money in free agency. So that's why the take with Hunt, I'm just like, eh. But yeah, we'll see how it plays out. I definitely think, like, regardless if Tua is playing or not next year, like they're still going to add QB. I just don't know if it's going to be like a first round quarterback, especially if it's the same people. If McDaniel's still the coach, I don't think it'll be a first round quarterback. And personally, I wouldn't unless it was like someone I really liked, which I'm just not there yet in the process. I just don't think the Dolphins do a full-on reset just looking at the moves they've made. I think it's just the only way they full-on reset is if this year continues this way, like the rest of the time. Like the whole year is exactly like this. That's the only way I could see it happening. And even then, it's not a guarantee. You're right, we should tank for Arch Manning next year. I mean, the 2026 class is better than the 2025 class, at least on paper right now. Miami will have a top 5 pick, in my opinion. Maybe. It's possible. I don't think they will, though. I think if Tua returns, they're going to win games, even playing horribly. They played bad in week 1 versus the Jacksonville Jaguars and still won that game. Like, they had no right winning that game. Yeah. But if they do have a top 5 pick, that would be very interesting to see who they end up taking. It would make the draft exciting. Where was Yeah, Patriots missed 13 tackles versus Jets. I thought their defensive front actually played pretty well versus the Niners. Peppers is out, and he's one of their better players. Yeah, defensively, they got, let's see, Kyle Duggar, who's also questionable, is a good player for them. Humphrey Jennings, they're off their edge for them. Jonathan Jones and Marcus Jones can be attacked in the secondary. They're going to have backup safety in there for Peppers, so he can probably go after them. There'll be some big play opportunities. If it continues the way it is, yes. But also, I feel like some people want him gone right now. To me, I'm definitely giving him the whole year. Did I miss something? Yeah. Oh, I think, yeah, this week's definitely big for them. If they lose this week, then yeah, they're looking like a bottom of the league team. Yeah. I mean, they already look like a bottom of the league team. But I'm saying they will look like they're going to finish at the bottom. Here's the Patriots defense. They play a lot of single high cover 1 looks, and when they don't play single high, they'll play cover 2. Lots of Tampa 2. They'll mix in some cover 3. But as you can see, like, you were able to get some long developing plays. Like, this is straight out of the Dolphins playbook with the play action, opening up one way, coming back with the cross, and then you have this guy running the clear out, and then the like deeper dig cross underneath with Ayuk. This is exactly straight out of the Dolphins playbook, and Patriots did not cover it up super well. So it'll be interesting to see if the Dolphins can find some success running similar types of concepts, which they will run that concept. We'll just see if the Patriots can play it better. Also, Patriots ran a lot of outside zone. Lots of outside zone. New England comes out in a 2 high look, 3 down linemen, still have 7 guys in the box. but they block it up super well. Jordan Mason's able to hit some gash runs. That will be potentially open. Like I'm saying, they ran man-to-man. This one didn't count as a touchdown. You can see how they run this pick play. They get this linebacker to work over the top. Mason sees it, boom, break it on the angle route. Make some big play opportunities. I think if they do go man, someone's just got to win in their opportunities. They get called back because of holding right there by Kittle, which was a really weak call, but could have been like a big play touchdown. Like the Patriots defense has been regressing. And I actually think the Dolphins defense has been better this year than the Patriots defense, which I think gives them the advantage. Then they get a cover 3 look. Corner sits on it. Deebo Samuel, they were giving up some deep bombs. Purdy was just dropping bombs all game long in this game. Had multiple opportunities to hit big. Running up the middle. Jordan Mason making the most of it. They have a better run defense, I think, than their pass defense, but it's still able to be taken advantage of. Still hitting just deep shots. Jawan Jennings. Purdy was dropping dimes, though, so I don't know if the Dolphins will be able to do this. I think if they had Tua, there would be this opportunity here. Patriots go quarters. They hit the post behind it. That's what you want to do versus quarters. It's definitely a quarters beater. They use Kittle to take the safety down. You get one-on-one. This corner actually almost does a really good job replacing and getting over there. Would have been a tough ask. But just big play opportunities across the board. This was actually the only pick Purdy threw. Patriots defense, there are some times where their DBs will do a good job of like coming off their route and then getting into a different space and covering another route in zone. So definitely some dangerous throws that can be made, and that was picked off by Peppers, who's not playing in the game, but just trying to show it. They'll go man and then dip off like that. Not great tackle. Look how many they take so many tackles in this Jets game. Just missed tackle after missed tackle. They'll go man to man, get open on some crossers underneath, escape the pocket from Rodgers, missed tackle. Another tackle opportunity basically missed. At least throw them forward. The Jets actually ran some outside zone decently well against New England. They didn't tackle well again. Just a lot of plays across the board where they weren't looking very good. We are 3-4 when Tua comes back. We still have a shot. Oh yeah, we definitely have to. I was saying 2-1 in the next 3, and that was last week. So winning the next 2 is definitely what you need. If you're 2-5, you're pretty much out of it. But like they're not going to give up on the season. I've seen a mock draft for Miami selecting 2. Well, that's because that's where they currently are in the order. They currently would, if the draft started today, they currently have the 2nd pick. But yeah. I'm not saying draft a QB to start him immediately. I'm just saying let him sit. Oh no, I agree with drafting a QBJ, but like I don't know if it would be a first rounder, and I just don't know. Like it also could easily just be a waste because like I just don't love them, the top guys in this class. I could see a lot of them being fine, but I could also see some busts. But that's why I'm like I'd rather do it with later than draft and then maybe get a veteran if you're still trying to in that win now window. But if like you're trying to move on, then it's, you know, it's time to move. It's just you move on and just restart. Yeah, definitely got to have Huntley. Hopefully, Huntley's got to play better. What position stream would you focus on with our first 3 rounds of picks? I mean, it's tough to say this early, but if you look at it, I would go obviously O-line. I'm always looking at O-line. I would say, I'm thinking they're going to be looking at defensive backs, like safety and corner, because after this year, pretty much all the safeties could be gone. Even Holland is a free agent, so he might be gone. But even if Holland's back, there won't be like any other safeties on the roster other than like Patrick McMorris. So you have to like re-sign some people. So I think safety could be a position you're looking at. Corner, I would be looking at just because I think, you know, it would be Fuller's final year on his contract. So then you're like looking to potentially replace some corners. You want Cam Smith and stuff to step up. But I would love to have a 3rd corner. I'm always looking for like a stud tight end. If there's I think the tight end class is, I actually forget if the tight end class is good or not. But if there's some stud tight ends, like an all-around good one that can block, catch, like I would love taking one of those guys early, like 2nd round. Yeah, there's that. Boom, boom, boom. They have Kendrick Moore, no Peppers. Oh yeah, the Dolphins have Tim Boyle got elevated. I saw people being mad that we waived Tim Boyle. I'm like, he's just gonna go to the practice squad and get elevated anyways. Not that big a deal. And it's Tim Boyle. Mostert will be back, which will be good, I think, for just having a nice little rotation. I think we should go D-line in the second or third because our run defense is horrible. I wouldn't mind adding D-line, but you actually would be surprised. Statistically, the Dolphins are a much better run defense than a pass defense. They're actually rated pretty good run defense-wise. I know that might surprise some people, but I don't think the run defense has been quite as bad as some people think. It hasn't been great, but I actually think it's more of a linebacker problem than a D-line problem. Well, Needham's getting elevated. I think Needham is playing tomorrow. He got elevated, at least from the practice squad. So. This. Yeah. That one Pollard run really ruined us. Like if Pollard had one like big run, but other than that, he was averaging like 2 yards per carry. Obviously, not going to take away the big run, but like, so it wasn't like a full game thing. They were getting gashed. They're just on the field too much. The defense's biggest problem right now is the offense. The offense consistently stays on the field. It would help out a lot. We need to go D-line and drafted age, in my opinion. Yeah, D-line's definitely a position to go after for sure. Like if you look at it future-wise, like I think they could go at pretty much any position on the defensive side of the ball. Yeah. Even Deshaun Elliott is playing great. We let him walk. Well, he's playing great according to PFF. I have not watched him, so I don't know if he's actually playing great. But I also would have re-signed him for cheap over Poyer. I just think, yeah, I mean, I understand people not wanting to because of injury, but you don't pay Tua, then there's other problems that get caused, and then you might just, after the season, have been screwed. If he didn't get hurt, because you have to, like, if he didn't get hurt, stayed healthy, then you'd pay him even more money than you had to. It's all a little bit of hindsight. Poyer's beyond wash. I agree. Poyer is the worst player on the team, starting, in my opinion. That's why I'm glad he's not playing. Get Marcus May out there. I mean, I thought, and I remember I thought Poyer would play fine, but like in all the videos in the stream, like I remember saying like Poyer was the addition that excited me the least. I was like, I don't think he's gonna do anything special. I always thought he was definitely slowing down as it is, but he even slowed down even more than expected. So hopefully I thought May's looked good in his limited snaps. I would even play Elijah Campbell over Poyer in 3 safety sets. So will the Dolphins do that? Who knows? Probably not. I think getting Fuller back is huge. I want to see it this week because we haven't seen this really look at all yet. Ramsey and Fuller as your 2 corners, and then you come out with your 3 safety set. Holland in the nickel, and then on like the same level you have Holland, Fuller, and Ramsey, who are your best DBs, all on the same level. You just need, May and Campbell to be deep, just not get beat over the top, play smart, disciplined football, don't do anything special. I think that would be an interesting defensive back look. Rob Jones. We playing a plan? Yeah. Well, I don't know. I just think a lot. I mean, yes, Tua's had a lot of injuries, but so many. I just feel like it gets a little like the concussion things are obviously very serious, but I just feel like other players don't get talked about in the same way. I'm like, isn't Joe Burrow missed more games in the past 4 years than Tua? And I feel like that never gets talked about. He got paid a lot of money. A lot of people miss games. It's tough. It's just a part of how it goes. Oh, you were saying Rob Jones is the worst player on the team. Okay, that's fair. Rob Jones is probably worse. But Poyer's right out. Poyer's the worst player on the defense. How about that? Rob Jones was the worst player on offense. Fair. Should have signed Justin Simmons, ABG, DBJ Reader. Would have been down. What's up with the line coaching? Saw some blown assignments. I mean, I think the O-line coaching's been fine. There was some blown assignments, but I don't think there has been anything like egregiously. There was one last week, but like blown assignments are going to happen. I don't think the Dolphins have had like over the top blown assignments. I just don't think their O-line is that talented. I send you my mock drafts? Sure. I like mock drafts. I mean, mock drafts are fun. Burrow doesn't have concussion issues. It's a lot different for Tua. I know, but we were just talking about injuries in general. And missing time. And he's missed more time. A lot of people have missed time. Look how many injured quarterbacks there are around the league. Like, obviously, it's like more serious in the long run, but yeah. I'm giving Tua credit for a line over Butch right now. Oh yeah, I agree. I do think Butch Berry did a good job, but I do think like people started crowning him too early, and like you got to give him credit. Like a lot of the players who like were really bad definitely looked like they had better technique, but I think the real reason they look better is because of the scheme and Tua. But yeah. Burrow is healthy now while Tua is 50-50 to retire. Okay, well, Tua was healthy last year and Burrow wasn't playing. So what? And people still talked about Tua injuries and not Burrow. Like, it's just all recency bias, you know? Like, yes, Tua's injuries are more serious. I'm not saying they're not. But I was just saying, in general, lots of players get injured. That's not a reason not to pay someone, you know? And yeah, he's not 100%. He's playing, but he's not 100% healthy. But yeah. People talked about Burrow when he was injured. Oh, I'm not saying like it wasn't never talked about. Like obviously some people talked about him, but I'm saying like it's not anywhere near to the same level as how Tua's been talked about, even before like this most recent concussion. Like even when he was fully healthy last year, like he didn't miss any time last year. Because let's just say Tua comes back and he gets another concussion and he retires. What do you do? Because at that point we are going to be fucked. Well, that's when you potentially draft a quarterback. I mean, you don't have to force yourself to draft a quarterback. I think it's poor team building to like force yourself to draft a quarterback unless it's like someone you really like. But that's when you like you're in win now mode. Maybe you either draft a quarterback or you get a veteran quarterback who's like a bridge quarterback to then draft someone in 2026 or something like that. I'm taking Burrow over Tua. What's the argument? I don't know. I don't know what you're arguing. Like, you're just saying stuff and like you're arguing points that I'm making. I'm just saying, like, what are you talking about? I never like. Now you're making points that were never brought up. Like, I hate when people do this, man. They bring up points like we weren't talking about Burrow over Tua at all, but injuries. People always get off topic. It pisses me off. You should see my comments recently, man. What up? What up? I've been going crazy in the comments. People talking nonsense to me. But yeah. Appreciate you, Malky. Thanks for being a member. I'm gonna make a members post soon about like some draft stuff so people can give me some draft ideas or players they want to see. So leave me some ideas and then we'll get some early draft content out because Obviously, the Dolphin season isn't going the best. Are you trying to say Burrow is more injury prone? I mean, I'm not talking about necessarily injury prone. I was saying Tua's injuries get talked about and like only have concern about him as a quarterback. Obviously, his are very serious with the concussions. But like when you look at like who's missed more time, there's been a lot of players around the league who've been missing more time, but there's nothing like really seriously discussed. Even before like the latest concussion, where like people weren't really talking about retiring. Like they were still talking about Tua's injuries last year when he didn't miss a single game. Well, Burrow's missing time, and like people are not concerned about Burrow being injury prone, even though he's missed more games, missed more time with injuries than Tua has. Or about the same amount, but it's like it's only talked like at least in the media, not necessarily about the retiring stuff, because obviously that's different. Oh no, I know. It's definitely a frustrating season. So like say in this draft we draft Jalen Williams, he's playing 2 and 2 goes down, and we would at least be comfortable, but it would be worse if 2 goes down and we don't know who's gonna play. Yeah, I just don't know if like I think the problem with that is I don't know if Milrow's gonna come in and play that well. Especially like, are you saying is it still gonna be like McDaniel and Tua? Because I don't know if Milrow comes in here and plays even better than the backups would. I mean, he would be he's obviously a better athlete, so that would bring. I just don't know if he would play, especially in like a year 1 situation. Like he seems like a developmental guy to me, and I don't think he's a great scheme fit. So like that's like the thing about it. I think well, this isn't necessarily true. I think the reason Tua is talked about is he's a bigger name, and it's how the concussions happened, and most of the concussions happened in prime time. There's plenty of players in the league that aren't quarterbacks that have many more career concussions than Tua, like a lot more. There's players in the league right now, like Mitch Morse has way more career concussions than Tua. Like last year, Derek Carr had multiple concussions. Kenny Pickett had multiple concussions, but people don't talk about those. Like people don't realize how many concussions other people have. It's just Tua's were on prime time. He's a big name, and then like they were serious concussions, so it's like obviously you take them serious. But like the number of concussions, I don't know. There's a lot of people last year, like yeah, someone last year had like 6 concussions. It's not talked about. I forget the name, but I think is it Morse? Was it Morse or was it someone else? Morse has a lot of concussions, but I forget if it was someone else last year. I feel like our interior line hasn't been great at run blocking. I really miss Hunt Connor. Yeah, well, I think Hunt's missed. I think I've seen Connor talked about. I think Brewer's been probably our best offensive lineman. So I don't know, but I think Brewer's actually done a pretty good job. I think the guards have been pretty hit or miss for sure. Cam Ward isn't accurate. Here, stop. My point is he can't name. Oh. I could barely name him. I was not even sure because it's not in the news. Yeah. I mean, we'll see. I mean, I expect Tua to be back. I'd be pretty surprised if he didn't, just hearing everything we've heard and knowing Tua. Wasn't Driscoll better than Jones? In my opinion, yes. But I don't know if it would be like, I see a lot of people asking for Driscoll, and I would like bringing Driscoll back to give him a chance. I just don't know how much better it would actually get, you know. And I've seen people saying bench Robert Jones for Lester Cotton, and then I'm just like, yeah, I'm not against it, but like Lester Cotton's just also horrible. And at least like Jones has been horrible this year, but at least in years past, I've seen some decent play from Jones. I don't think I've ever seen decent play from Cotton, so it's like, I guess there's a chance Jones can have some decent play. I feel like I had other stuff to talk about, but let me pull this up real quick. Let's see. Ramondre Stevenson's rush EPA is negative 24.2. I'm on NFL Pro reading this. Gibson's is plus 1.9. Interesting. Their best receiver so far has been Jalen Polk, according to... Oh, no, never mind. According to completion percentage over expected, but EPA, it's actually been the worst. Interesting. Interesting. Keon White led the Patriots pass rush with 7 pressures against the Niners, which was his most in a career game. Keon White is the player to watch up front for them. Good player. Storm Mighty Duck looks very promising. Yeah, he had a pretty solid game. I'm still like, it wasn't... I want to see him get a game where he gets targeted a lot before I like feel super good about him. But yeah, it's definitely a solid start for a UDFA from him. I still think Ethan Bonner could go out there and play pretty well too. I'm not sure why he hasn't gotten a shot. And I expect Cam Smith to come back. I think the DB room will be pretty interesting to see how it plays out. Favre said he had 1,000, which was probably hyperbole. Now he just said he has Parkinson's, so... Well. Yeah, Favre definitely had... He might have had 1,000 concussions with what that guy's been doing. Pretty sure, didn't he... What did he do? He like scammed people? I don't know. Let's see. Let's see. Do you think... Let me see. Okay, sorry. Do you think the Dolphins need to trade for a guard or nose tackle to become competitive this season? Nose tackle? No. I mean, it would help. I don't know if that would really change too much, though. Guard would definitely help, but, like, I don't know if that's... I know a lot of people blame the offensive line, and, like, for good like, if you look at the offense, just from, like, an outside perspective, you don't consider scheme, you're just looking at pure talent. Offensive line is obviously the least talented group. But when you start thinking of scheme, and if you have your team fully healthy, you start thinking of scheme, like last year, with backups on the offensive line, they were still able to be productive. When they were fully healthy on offensive line, it wasn't like the offensive line was that great when they were fully healthy, like talent-wise, it was pretty solid. They put up 70, you know? It's not like you need that great of an offensive line in this system to still be great. Like, if you look around the league, a lot of teams don't have great offensive line and are still able to be productive in the Shanahan system. I think there's a lot of problems going on. Offensive line is definitely playing into it. It definitely, you know, gets highlighted as worse when everything else around it starts getting worse. Like, I think the receivers aren't playing as well. I think the running backs are missing reads. I think obviously the quarterback play has fallen off drastically. I think there's been a lot of dumb penalties. I think the coaching hasn't been as good. So, like, to me, just getting a guard, I don't think that saves your season. I think it could obviously help in certain situations. But I think if everything else around it just, like, started playing better, I think the O-line, you could still win with that O-line, even though it's not a good group. But that's if, you know, obviously Tua being healthy would be the key, because Tua is a big... And Tua has to play better, too, even when he's healthy. It's because he does a lot of big masking of the offensive line issues because of his quick release. But that also comes down to McDaniel and, like, them being able to make adjustments because teams are starting to play into that stuff. Why isn't Tua bulked up or put it? What are you talking about? Wasn't Tua like 230 last season? He definitely got slimmer this season to be a little more agile. Yeah. And it's not like if you look at the stats, I think statistically the Dolphins O-line hasn't been like that. I mean, it's been bad, but it hasn't been like as bad as people make it out to be. Last week versus the Titans, it was bad. And I think that's just because they could not block some of the guys on the Titans defensive front. I expect more run game success in different games, not mainly against Tennessee, because when the Dolphins have been running down the interior, in the first 3 games, they're actually pretty successful doing it. I think if they can find some of that, not be as predictable with their run game calling, they can do all that stuff. MC, what are you talking about, man? I don't think how I think there's people around the league. It's just he got hurt on those plays. I don't think it has to do with his build exactly. Like, he's fine enough size-wise. If you look at other players size-wise around the league, you don't get a concussion because of how much you weigh or not weigh. Like, what are you talking about? Oh, went off that. But I am excited to see Odell Beckham this game. I wonder if we'll get Nick Needham. I would like Nick Needham to get some snaps in the slot, if that's possible. See if he's back to fully healthy. Will be interesting. He might even play some safety, I guess. We're only missing Poyer and Cam Smith. I'm guessing Skyler will be active, or he might be inactive and be the emergency third again. But he'll probably be in that capacity. I'm hoping to see some Malik Washington. Armstead and Fuller, huge. Everyone else should be back. Yeah, Mostert, Long, that helps too. David Long being back's pretty nice too. Needham does have a chance, actually. Do you see Wynn making an impact team if he comes back and stays healthy? If he comes back and stays healthy, sure. Like, I think he's a better left guard than what you have. And he's like back to what he was last season, then yes. I just don't know. I literally haven't heard anything on Wynn like at all. So like, he's the one guy on like the injured reserve PUP who's eligible to come back that I'm not expecting to. I guess he could, but like, I have no like feel for if that's going to happen or not. Like OBJ, I was expecting to come back, and he is coming back, so that's good. Like, I think a lot of these guys will be back. I expect to see Cam Smith back soon. I expect to see Craycraft back in a few weeks. There's other players out there too, but Aaron Rodgers has more muscle tone? Okay. But having muscle tone has nothing to do with like getting a concussion. Jones is worse than Liam? Yes, he is. I wonder if they switched him, if things would change. I wonder if Liam played left guard and Jones played right guard, if Jones would improve at right guard. I actually think Jones would improve at right guard, but I don't know if Liam would be able to stay on the same level. He might also get worse. But I wonder if they could get like similar level of play if they swapped. What's your thought on Cater this season? Cater has not been very good. That's why I think, there's... Honestly, I want to see more movement around. I want to see more 3 safety sets. I want to see Ramsey playing in the nickel. I want to see Fuller playing some nickel. But I think when that happens, I think it's fine if Coe's playing nickel, but like, I don't think he should rotate to the outside like he has been. I think it's putting him in a tough spot too. Just not his game. Yeah, unless... Yeah, it's just how much worse would Ike get on the left guard? Could he just hasn't played enough on the left guard. He only has like... He doesn't have enough snaps, I think, at left guard for me to say like he will for sure get worse. But like, if it only gets like slightly worse for Ike, and then Jones gets like a decent amount better at right guard, maybe it works overall for you better. Because from what I've seen in the system, the right guard position has always been slightly easier to play. Will we see Cam tomorrow? No, Cam is out. They had to... I think you have to activate them the day before. They activated OBJ and not Cam. I think they could have brought... I'm guessing Cam could have played because he practiced in full like OBJ did. But maybe they just didn't feel like they had the roster spot for it quite yet. So they just activated OBJ. Or who knows exactly how good Cam Smith is, but... so yeah, I'm guessing in the... next week we have a bye. So yeah, I expect we'll probably see him versus Indianapolis. And then after Indianapolis... If you can somehow pull out 2 wins these next 2 weeks, like, you probably would be pretty healthy coming out of the Cardinals game if Tua were to come back, and then you get back like maybe a Bradley Chubb, maybe a River Craycraft, and then everyone else is starting to get healthy right now. Would be interesting. But yeah. Yeah, Cam's in his window. They just did not activate him. But they listed him as out on their newest report. Like, they have him, game status is out. So he will not be playing, but I do expect to see him soon enough. Which I am excited for, because I feel like Cam Smith has really not had a shot to actually play yet in this league. And he's one guy that I actually think can be better than people think. When was it we went with 2 wins last time? I mean, it was last year. But it was not. It was earlier, in like mid-season last year. Would be great though. They should trade Chubb and Poyer for a premier lineman. I just don't think they would get that, because 1, Poyer is bad, and 2, Chubb is coming off a major injury. So like, I don't know what type of good, like, a premier lineman you're gonna get. You know, it's always easier said than done in those situations. Like, how I look at it is, always takes 2. Like, if the situation arises, then yes, sure, you got to consider it and you maybe look for it. But it always takes another person to actually have that opportunity. And like, you're not going to get a premier lineman. You may be able to find like a serviceable one, but then it's like, would you trade if Chubb is coming back healthy? Like, I would rather just have Chubb, especially with no Phillips, because I think Chubb is better than just a serviceable offensive lineman, especially at least for the rest of the season. Like, I don't know if Chubb will make it past the season, but the Dolphins will need some edge help with no Jalen Phillips. Should I buy Tyreek and Waddle in fantasy? If they're cheap, because, I mean, they're pretty much useless right now, but when Tua's back, they're obviously top fantasy options, because, I mean, they have been when Tua's healthy. But yeah. You guys have any more questions? I think that's everything. I mean, there were some other stats that were interesting. But yeah, the Patriots really don't stand out in any area. They have really poor QB play, just like the Dolphins have had. Their O-line's probably been even worse. Dolphins have better weapons, so hopefully the weapons can kind of carry them on that side. I think defensively, the Patriots have been showing regression. I actually thought it was going to be more of an even battle defensively, but I actually think the Dolphins have been kind of playing better. But the Patriots defense isn't bad. It's just been put in tough spots, similarly to the Dolphins defense. They have some really good players like Keon White, and Christian Gonzalez. They're missing players. Oh, never mind. Yeah, no, Lime. You're good. You're good. Do you think River broke his collarbone? I don't know. It's tough to speculate what it was exactly. I think that it was possible. I don't really have any information on that, but it sounds like he wasn't going to miss the whole season. I think he could get back like mid-season, like maybe like a little bit after Tua. I don't know if we'll see Chubb back, and who else is on. Let me just go to the Dolphins real quick. I forget who else is on like IR and PUP off the top of my head. Let's see. Where's some of these people on the practice squad? I'm like seeing names on the practice squad I haven't even seen before. Okay. So yeah, obviously Tua, Patrick McMorris. Honestly, okay. If they want to bring, because I don't know if they want to bring Patrick McMorris back. I'm not even against this at this point, especially if the team keeps losing. I would bring back Patrick McMorris and just cut Poyer, especially if the team's like not in a great spot. Like, just give McMorris a chance to see what he's got. You got Craycraft. You have Grant DeBose, and I know people are actually starting to think about this. I know people were mad because Grant DeBose had that dropped, which led to the interception. But other than Craycraft, who hasn't played yet, DeBose is by far your best blocking receiver. And I actually think the Dolphins have missed some blockers out there. So I actually think he can bring some value as a blocker. I think that's why they need someone like DeBose or Craycraft out there, because the receivers without them have been useless blocking on their perimeter, specifically on crack toss and the screen game. see. No, Phillips is done. Taj is done. Grayson done. Keon done. Oh yeah, Isaiah Wynn and Cameron Good and Chubb and Cam Smith can come back. Yeah, I really think only like Chubb, Cam Smith. I think we'll get Cam Smith soon. Chubb would be a big difference maker. I don't know if Cameron Good would really make much of a difference. And Isaiah Wynn, if he were to come back, I think would be better than what they have. I just don't know if that's going to happen. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if we're really out of it, I'm down to even trade some guys too. But like, I don't know if the Dolphins are going to do that because I think the guys in the front office are playing for a job. They want the team to show some sort of promise. Yeah. Remember Gurr said he wasn't concerned about the O-line? Yeah, I mean, keep seeing people bring that up and like, I mean, he said that last year too, and like before the offensive line got hurt, I mean, the offensive line actually was doing pretty decent. Obviously, I've talked about it, I would have added more people, but I do think the people trying to dunk on Greer for that stuff, I think you should dunk on him for a different reason than the whole O-line thing, personally. Because I don't think the O-line is the main problem with this team right now. I want Paul to play now over Armstead while Tua is out, get him real snaps. Yeah, I could see that, but I don't think they will. I would love for the, I mean, yeah, they're not getting Vita Vea. Vita Vea's a stud. So good. So good. Just not likely to happen. I would love to see all the young guys play, though. If it definitely comes out of it, like, get something out of the season. Let me see all the rookies play. The UDFAs, second-year guys, all of them. Because you got to know what you have out of them, even if you're not sticking around. Like, but yeah. Yeah, thank you guys for watching.